Hello there. We're live. How are you guys doing? There is 20 people watching, which is a good start. Good start. Very good start. And how is everyone doing? I hope you can hear me. Just let me know if there's some problems with the audio because that's what has happened lately. And tonight we're going to watch or look at your color images that you've been posting on the Facebook group and also what's been good. You've been sending them to me for this live stream. Unfortunately, the amount of images was a little less than normal, but I still have a plenty of images to check out. I chose 20, actually 25 this time, so we have plenty of images to look at. And I have to say that the quality was quite good, and the assignment was probably something that you enjoyed. At least I enjoyed watching and looking at your images. It's color is always a tricky one, and some of the assignments that were there, which are these ones, you have saturation, joy of colors, complementary colors, and color of life. And here you can see the sorry about that. Here you can see the distribute or the amount of images that or the percentage of images that were sent from you, and the biggest two were complementary colors and joy of colors, and then the third one was color of life, and saturation got a little less than the other three, but it was pretty equal, except of course saturation was a little bit less. And I'm glad that you didn't send that many saturation images because or to saturation images because it's a bit maybe a bit too easy to do, and I'm really glad that the other ones were the ones that you were sending because they were a bit harder. And I hope that you challenge yourself with these assignments. And I think that's the whole point is to get a little bit out of the comfort zone and not taking the easy route. But of course, I can understand that sometimes just there is another things to do in life, and you're a bit busy doing something else. And then that's why there's always a few or at least one, a little easier one of these assignments. And I'm sorry that this is haven't been before. The live stream is on the 15th. It's supposed to be a couple of weeks ago, but these weekends have been quite busy. We had the 1st of May celebration here, so it was a public holiday for a couple of days. And then last weekend, I was taking part in what they call a short film competition, where you had to make a short film within 48 hours from scratch to delivering it to the organizers. And we've been there with a bunch of friends for many years, and that's something to do. So I was pretty tired on Monday, so I knew that beforehand. So that's why it's the 15th, even though it was supposed to be at the end of the month. But so where are you all from? There's some familiar names. Hello, James. Hello, Anne. Hello, William. Hello, Yossi. Hello, Cecilia. You have some familiar names from familiar places, and I already recognize you from previous live streams, and that's really good to have you. Welcome all. I'm really glad that you're taking part of this assignment. First, a few words about the fast-moving assignment. How has it been? Is it any questions about that? Because there is some not misunderstandings, but some people have been asking what is that assignment called? What just happened? And that is a tough one because it's not very obvious what it could be. So it could be anything. And usually, if a assignment is anything, then it is usually, sorry, excuse me, what it is usually, it is a lot harder if you don't have a specific assignment. It's more kind of like a general one. And the reason is that I want to challenge you. That's why there is. And what you could photograph from that is something like odd thing that just happened, or maybe you missed and you only see part of the things, so that when we see the image, we'll just like look at the image and ask questions and really what's going on here. And I hope you try to do that also. So could that be interesting to see in a couple of weeks when we'll have the next live stream. I will be traveling to Strasbourg around that time, so we will see if it's going to be in the beginning of June or maybe a week later. But we will see that. I will inform you in advance so you know when the live stream will be streaming. But let's get into the first image. This one is from, let me check, Townsend, and she said that it was pretty hard to photograph because they were running really fast into the water with the surfboards, and I think she did pretty well. It's not an easy thing to photograph, like she said that it was you know really fast thing and bursting images, hard to make the composition. But wait a minute, maybe we'll put the image on there. Maybe we can put the image over there too. It's easier to talk about the image. Sorry about that. But yeah, this is surfers running into the water, and what I like about this is, of course, the colors. And this was about saturation. Yeah, could be joy of colors and color of life. Could be almost any of those. And uh, what's good about this is that the reflection, and then you can see the water under the audio is dropping. I wonder what that is. In and out. Maybe there's some connection problems. Yeah, I hope this. See, I'm not starting yet with muscle thing. Yeah, working. All right. Yeah, we'll talk about that. The motion thing a bit later before we end all this. But yeah, the reflection and then the water, you can really see the motion also on this one. So this could be something to do with motion too. So that's also good in that sense. Not sure about the cropping. Maybe if there is a situation where you really don't know how, then just make a bit wider composition and then maybe cropping the image. I don't think there's, or in my opinion, it's nothing wrong with cropping an image. I think that's totally fine if you crop an image. I'm not one of those purists that has to make the final crop right at the time when we make the photograph. Of course, if you can do that, it's better. But the only thing that matters is the end image, and if the cropping is not perfect, then who cares? And let's look at the image again. What do you think about the surfers? And if you could maybe write down, what I should start doing is to add numbers to these images so that when you're commenting, you could put the number in there. But I'll do that next time. Maybe it's a bit harder, of course, to do to images. But yeah, I think this goes very well with the assignment, and I think Sue did a good job. And then we have this, which I believe is self-portrait, as it says. This is James Boyer, and it's complementary colors. And this is a really strong, very strong self-portrait. And James is saying that I've been visualizing this self-portrait for some time. I'm 62 years old and wanted to create something dramatic with lots of shadows and complementary colors. It's done using two speedlights, each gelled and fired through a small strip softbox. The background is a black V flat. Yeah, usually a completely completely black background is wait a minute. Now, yeah, I'm up there. Usually the totally black background is not my favorite, but on these type of images, I think it's perfect. So you have this really gloomy feeling and a bit sad because you can't see the eyes. They look like the eyes are closed, and in what James looks to be into his inside his mind and everything. It's a very strong portrait, and I really like the colors too. Usually, these type of colors are not portraits, but of course, this adds to the mood and makes it interesting. If this was just white light. I don't think it would be that interesting. And also the direction of the lights are perfect because you can see the texture on the shirt and you can see really nice rim lights on the nose. You can really see the person from the background because of the rim lights. There's slightly more light could be on top of the head. It could be like a third light there, but that would make it, of course, a lot more complicated. But I think this one works really well. Let's see what else say. Haha, he's much bigger than I am. I don't know what that means. Maybe you have a big screen or something like that. I don't. And Will Hampson is asking Vin Diesel, is it? Let me see. Black background works very well here. I think says range writer. Yeah, it works. It's a stunning portrait, and it's not really easy to make a portrait like this when you have to stand in front of the camera and you can't really see how the crop is. So if you do something like this, make it just a wide crop and try to be in the frame. And one good thing, or one a thing where you could do in a portrait like this, just put something on the side so you know where to stand, or if you have someone to help you, then you can just make everything yourself and then ask someone to push the button or use the remote controller or something like that. But yeah, these are really interesting looking, and I really like this image. It's a stunning photograph. And let's go to the next one. And this one is William Beazle, Joy of Colors, a local drive-in restaurant on a cold, rainy night. I really enjoyed the colors of this. I don't know how much you have adjusted the colors, but I don't think it doesn't it matters. All that matter is that it is an interesting looking image. And it's been there since 1960, so it's not quite new. And the colors, the red, almost pinkish colors, make this place look really unique. And when I saw this image first, I looked at it, it looked like a mini thing. First, I thought that it's some kind of a miniature city. I don't know what made that impression, but it's a really interesting image with some great colors. And also, like there is a red car on the right side, right where you have the 222 numbers, the address numbers. It kind of adds to the image. Another thing could have been if it was complementary color on that side, but I think red is just perfect. Let me see. No comments on this image yet, but and this was, yeah, I said the name William Beazle and Joy of Colors. The sign, the star is slightly overexposed, and these things are really tricky because it is really dark, and you have some dark areas that you want to show, and especially this one where there's the red car on the right. So maybe lowering the highlight just a, just a bit could help make this image even better. But I think it works nicely, and it's an what also makes this interesting is that it's empty street, and I don't think it needs anything because you have someone sitting indoors, and then you have some interesting looking creature, almost a creature right here, which is quite nice there. But here you can see the people sitting, so you don't need. And there's someone over there, so you don't really need to have anything outdoors. I think it works really well like this. Well done. Then we have Sean Buckley, and the daffodils are one of the first signs of spring here, and the juxtaposition with the headstone in the local churchyard felt like a good fit for the color of life. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And the yellow light in the tombstone in the back, and really uh, popping out greens and the flowers. And yeah, these type of images are my favorites when the spring comes. I'm not really into flower photography, but seeing the flowers start to come out after a long winter, it's a joy, and really like this way of having a color of life. When I'm looking at the composition, I think there's not much to improve. Just looking at this is slightly something that draws a little bit of the attention. But you know, I don't know if it would have been possible to just move it slightly and leave this out and have it. You can't really crop it anymore, but just to be a little bit on the side to crop that out while photographing. Otherwise, yeah, no complaints at all. And the depth of field is quite nice. You can really see the details, but it's still not too distracting. You really have the sharpness over here, which is good. So in that sense, it worked really well. Yeah, let's go to the next one. Now we have a warning, and this is Isabella Fargo saturation. Dangerous still life, even though it has a kind of a vibe when you sip your morning tea or coffee or enjoy the campfire, it can also have its dangers. In the first case, we do not notice that the drink is still too hot, and in the second case, we do not put out the fire. Well, that was quite interesting story about the image. I like the composition. You have two, I think it's two pens there, and then you have the warning, and then I really like the smoke. You hear is this if this is a real smoke or is it done in the post production? If you hear, please let us know. It doesn't really matter. It looks good, and to get this type of smoke, you need backlighting so that the light comes behind the subject. And there's one comment that William said. I have to go back to the last image, or the previous image. Now you can see the black part that I was talking about. Sorry about that. Yeah, when I'm always getting into the talking about the image, I always forget all these type of things. But let's go back to this image. So if you hear Isabel, just let us know if that smoke was real or did you edit it. What I like about this is that it is oh wait a minute. Oh, I'm having some troubles with my notes. Yes, a good approach and something different, which I really liked. And this was for saturation. Yeah. And then we go to the next one, which is this one, iron weight, also saturation. Wanted to try something different. My friend wasn't. Wait a minute, where was I? My friend wasn't happy at the suggestion of throwing her young grandson into the surf and photographing him, so I had to get a compliant subject. I think you had a very good subject, and what I like about this image is that the water is unsharp. It's out of focus area, or the depth of field is so narrow, so you don't really have enough depth of field to make that part also sharp. And I think that fact that it is like this makes the color to pop out more. And because this was a color theme, then I think it's a good choice to do. And you still have the nice direction of the light because there are a lot of details in the cloth or whatever that is. It's an interesting approach. And this is also one of those abstract images that you could just print and put on the wall and enjoy it because it is interesting. I'm not a big fan of frames when you have presenting a digital image, but you know, it's just me and it's nothing wrong with it. But I'm not really into that. But it fits this image. Maybe make it a slightly narrower, and maybe it would have been better. But that's the image itself is very well done. And then we go to the next one, and this is Ari Kalliala, Joy of Colors. A set of colored pencils from my wife's drawing tools. I took dozens of focus bracketed images using OM1 and M-Zuigo 60mm macro lens. And this is interesting information that the focus differential was 2 and aperture 2.8. And I picked 29 images from the set to get the depth I wanted, and then used Helicon Focus to stack the images, and then did some post production with Lightroom and Photoshop. It looks to be a very simple image, but as you heard, it's not. There are 29 images done with focused stacking. You did quite well, and here we can see how short the depth of field is with doing macro. You get 29, and you still can see that it starts to get out of focus over here, and this tip is only here, and this is really short, and in the that's the real hard part of macro photography to play around with the depth of field. With a smaller sensor like OM1, there is a slight advantage because it is always slightly more than with bigger sensors. So Micro Four Thirds is actually a very good camera for macro photography because of that. The little bit more depth of field, so you don't have to stop down too much. And then, of course, the good feature like the focus stacking and focus bracketing. Also, the biggest mystery is the what was that called? It's the focus differential that has to be played around with so that you learn how it goes, because it is quite hard to understand how much it is, because it depends on so many things. It depends on the aperture, depends on the distance, depends on on the lens, and so many different parameters. So I have not really figured that out, how that really goes. So you need to experiment, and it takes some time, but a very good subject for this, and interesting looking image. And this could be, printed out somewhere, put on a wall to your wife's room where she does her drawings and that stuff like that. That could be a nice prop or something in the room. I really like this type of images. You kind of like have to pre-visualize this before making the image. You don't find this unless you use your mind and pre-visualize things. Then you can find images like this. And then, of course, it's not that easy to make, but it's well done. And then we have what I call sheet machines by this is by Jesse Brawler. We recently sold our hay fields to our neighbor, and he planted one of the fields so we can have cattle on it. These mustard flowers and the clover beneath them are popular snacks for the Canadian geese that pass through here. I love the vibrancy of this photo and how it contrasts geese and makes their honking expression stand out more really joyful. Every time I look at this picture, I can't help but smile a little because of the energy it gives off. And yeah, that's a good uh, reason to photograph so that you can have joy with the photographs. I think that's probably the biggest and the best reason to photograph is to have joy looking at old photographs and looking at photographs that you've taken. So please go back to your old images and your own photography. Yeah, I think this is quite interesting composition. On the left side, you have uh, these Canadian geese behind some flowers, and then you have this one on the one level, well, maybe a rule of thirds almost sticking out. And I think that also could have been the image, just to crop it slightly and have that image, because the the sound and the direction they are all looking at is interesting, because you start wondering what's on the other side, what's out there, what are they looking at? Yeah, quite interesting image. I'm glad that you you enjoy this image. It makes the image very very valuable for you. Well done, Jesse. Then we have totally something different, but we're still having the colors. And this is Peter Blake, Joy of Colors. Photo taken on the 13th of April on the French Mediterranean coast. The yellow faces of a dingy jumped out at me. I saw the road cleaner coming in his orange overalls, blue and pink as well. I had to take the shot. My camera was ready on aperture mode. Yeah, this is a also a good example of an image where you see something and then you wait something to happen. I do this type of uh, approach quite a bit. I think it makes the image a lot more interesting when you have the person in the image. And on this one, he also looks at you, which makes it better. And also the sunglasses, like the yellow thing in the window. And then of course the red up there and the color of the shirt of the guy with and also the blue and the orange. You just nail this image. And this is, of course, what I call sometimes a photographer's luck. What are the odds that when you're sitting there waiting for the image, someone with clothes like that walks by? Yeah, that sometimes happens. And when you are patient doing this type of images, you will be rewarded quite a uh, quite a few times. Sometimes you might not get it, but when you get it, it's a big joy. I enjoy this image a lot because of that. And let's go to the next one. And this is Ola Joval from Sweden. It's complementary colors. This image is from the largest shopping mall in Malmö, Sweden. It is fun to study the different escalator riding styles. Yeah, exactly. And here we have very good complementary colors. The blue colors of the escalators, then we have orange color in the store area. And then what I really like is the girl with the green jacket right in the middle. I think it makes the image, even though it's quite busy. But there are a lot of things in these type of images that you can find when you start looking at it. First, what it does is you really see the green one because everything leads. All the escalators kind of leads, and the different levels of the mall leads to the middle of the green jacket girl, and then you start seeing someone else. But the problem, of course, also I see in Sweden is that people are not using very colorful clothes. That's the big problem here in Finland. When you go out and photograph and you want some colors, you don't get them because everybody's wearing, beige colors or brown or dark blue or black. Well, I'm the same way. So who am I to say and complain about that? Because I also use dark clothes in most cases, in most times. But yeah, there's a lot of things to happen, but these type of images are also quite busy or can be quite busy, and there might not be a place for the eye to rest. But I think on this one, the red jacket is the one that we kind of see first, and I think that makes the image. Otherwise, it would be too busy. Without that, there wouldn't be anything to for our eyes to kind of rest and catch and stop. But I think Ulla did well on this one. And then we have Anne Kasurunen. And the funny thing is that how when I pick up and choose these images, I usually don't look at who it is because I don't want the names or anything to interfere. So that I pick the images that I like, and no matter who it took. But when I saw this image, I was 100% sure that it was made by Anne because this is type of images she's been doing before. These slightly odd images that are quite interesting. And let's see what she said. I submitted this image to Color of Life as did not want to do a cliche of a red or green color. Did not really have any idea for these color assignments. She said that she struggles. Also, April being, in my opinion, the most awful month to photograph anything outside in Finland. due to no colors outside. Well, I totally agree on that. And harsh light if sunny day, that also. Decided to go outside into awful light to see if getting anything colorful in the photo, and this was the result. I think you managed because the green and the yellow are this was color of life. It could be almost complementary colors too, even though they're not, but it could be. And then the purple or violet jacket too. And then not sure about the composition, but this could be better without the right part, maybe. Not really sure. I haven't really checked that. But if you could, you know, cut that out just to make it vertical or like a portrait mode, I think that could make the image even better. So it would be more about the color and the things with the hands and the light pole too. I'm not really sure. I think that's something that you could try if it's better in your opinion. Of course, you decide. It's just a suggestion that it could improve the image. And let's go to the next one. This one is from Yossi Run, and it's complementary colors. The Carmelite pathways are tiled in orange and blue. The stations are tiled in various colors. The Carmelite is Haifa subway from the port to Mount Carmel. Yeah, subway tunnels and the pathways to the trains are always interesting because a lot of places have different types of tiles, different types of art in them, and this is not art, even though the tiles are made in a certain way or put in there a certain way with certain colors. Makes the whole place a lot more interesting. And this one certainly have the colors that I was looking for, or the idea of colors that I was looking for. The only thing that could make this image, oops, excuse me, could make this image slightly better if there was someone in the image, a part of image in the over here somewhere. Whoops, over here somewhere, so that it could give a bit more context to the image. But of course, then this is more abstract like this, so I think it's totally fine like this. I'm not saying that, but it could add something if there was someone with some colored clothes, maybe, or just a black silhouette or something like that. That could add a bit more interest to the image. I think it's totally fine like this too. And then we have Annika Joval, and this is an we were in Gothenburg, and suddenly I saw this group of people running towards us. I like the bright colors these healthy people are wearing and the shadows of the trees. Yeah, I totally agree with what you said. And these type of images with a lot of colorfuls and a lot of colors are a good example of this whole assignment and whole theme about colors. The only thing that I would have done here is to crop the image, like to get rid of the theater building in the back and crop from above the people's heads so that you only have the trees and the crosswalk and then the colorful people and then add some vibrance to the image. And I think that would have made the image even better. Now it's a bit too kind of like wide. More concentrating on the colors would have made it even better. One problem is that the theater Stora Teatern, or this the big theater in the back is so bright and draws a slightly attention. But try to crop it, make it. I know you will lose a lot of pixels, but if it's presented online, who cares? You can still have enough just to crop it above the head of the runners and then have the sidewalk because that is interesting. The shadows of the trees and the sidewalk. What do you call the crosswalk over there? It makes the image a lot more interesting. But cropping a bit makes it even better, in my opinion. Let me see. Yeah, no, nothing. And then we have Brad Warrior, Color of Life, and it's only one shot that he had time to make, and this is a beautiful, beautiful shot, and it certainly has colors. This could be in so many assignments, and usually if you have an image that is really good, it most likely can be in many other assignments too or themes. And the sharpness is stunning, and then I like the out of focus flower in the back and the colors, and of course the position of the bee is perfect. It's a nice and calm background, and there is some rim lights around, so it really pops out. And this is stunning. And congratulations for this. Well done. And we go to the next one. And this is Andy Leong, Street Art in Hong Kong. This is also well done. You probably been watching my channel. I love to make these type of images. And when you do images like this, it's really important to add something to the image. Just a copy of street art is not something that I appreciate unless you want to document them. That's a different thing, of course. But having adding something to the image, it will make it yours. You will kind of take advantage of the painting on the wall, the mural, tag, the graffiti, or whatever, and then you add something. Here is the car, which I really like because of the it's on a hill, and then you have the hood of the or bonnet, whatever you call that, of the car, and it goes slightly down like this, and then you have the guy walking, looking inside. So first you see the cat, the mural, then you realize the car, you see the guy, and then you go into the maybe it's a bar that's down there, and then he looks into that. And the blue backpack is also quite good because there's the blue on the building and the crown. Yeah, quite well made image. It's slightly busy and the eye might wander a bit, but I think in this one it wanders in a good way because it's a slightly distracting, but that's the thing that makes this interesting. The only small thing that I don't like is the left part. Maybe cropping that out and make it almost a square could be better. That's something I don't think it belongs into the image. But definitely the bar, definitely the guy, the car, and the mural, of course, and the windows above are really cool. Cool too. Yeah, well done image. And then we have William Hansen, Joy of Colors. I normally don't shoot these in vertical, but it was necessary in this special occasion. Aurora dancing with the moon and the Venus. And here again we have the uh, pink northern lights or aurora borealis, which is not that common. It's quite rare actually. And then of course normal green, and then you have from that you do have the joy of colors, of course, and it could be complementary almost, even though they're not. But then you have the violet and the purple sky and Venus and moon, was it? Yeah, moon and Venus. It's a good image, and yes, I don't think it's a problem that's a vertical image. It works totally fine. And of course, sometimes you just have to make the choice if there is some distracting things that you want to leave out. On this one, the branches on the left are slightly disturbing or distracting, sorry. But the tree in the bottom part of the image is really good because that gives some depth to the image and it kind of places it somewhere. But it's totally okay with because of course we don't know what's on the right side. It's totally works fine, and I'm glad that this is. I think this is all second. You had one of these images before, also on this live stream, and also the pink colored aurora borealis, which, as I said, are not that common. Well done, William. Well done. And then this image that made me smile. Initially, I was happy to have captured the pleasing image of a very young girl attempting to photograph fish. When I posted the image on, an astute commentator alerted me to the fact that colors plays a significant part in the quality of the image. And indeed, there is some joy in the contrast of her brightly colored dress, the vibrant blue, and of the clear water. Yeah, I totally agree that this is quite well done. First of all, even without the colors, this could probably go in black and white. And I just love the situation that she's trying to make a photograph of fish, which don't really see. You start wondering because the image doesn't tell that. You wrote it down, but it's still. I think that would be interesting if we did not know what she was photographing. That would make us wonder and ask questions of what's going on. And then, of course, the colors. You have the green. It's a reflection from the trees, or it could be some. I don't know what you call that stuff. It's seaweed or what is it? Yeah, seaweed probably it is. And then the blue reflection of the rock, and the girl concentrating on using a red phone. The red cover on the phone is also quite quite nice, and the color of the red in her dress. And then the composition is also something that I was thinking about when I was looking at this image. Is is that tree on the left side? Maybe it is a bit too much, just cropping slightly. But then, of course, it would be hard to crop the image so that it would have the same aspect ratio. But play around with the cropping and see if you're taking slightly away the tree, just make it smaller because it is quite big. I like the idea are something so that you kind of took like a candid shot of trees and everything. And it's in that sense, I think it's a good thing that it's kind of framed in that sense. But play around with the composition and the cropping of the image slightly. That might make it a bit better. And let's go to the next one. Did I say whose image it was? It was Raymond Hudson, Joy of Colors. And then another interesting mural here. I think it's might not be totally finished yet. Actually, no. Actually, I didn't see that before. It depends. I'm not sure. It could be. And this is Terry Jameson. For many years, this concrete building has been the subject of many unfriendly remarks. When I saw the artwork being applied, it meant so much the about the topic. Yeah, I personally love this type of things that you have these not maybe not the most beautiful buildings, and then when someone adds an art piece, painting it on the walls, makes image the building a lot more pleasant and nice, or it adds to the environment of the city a lot. And you know, art is always nice to have around it anyways. Yeah, on these type of images, uh, do not just copy the artwork unless you document it. Try to add something to it. If you can find something that relates to the uh, piece of art or the mural, like this, I like the yellow bikes. Maybe the gray car isn't perfect, but it's a city. You can't choose what frame. You have to just wait and be patient, and sometimes there are things that you might not want to be there, and you still need to make the image point. So in that sense, I don't think it's a big mistake. He has a yellow license plate, which is good, and then the yellow jacket and some yellow on the back. Maybe the crop is a bit too wide. Maybe you could tighten up a little bit and see how it looks if you crop it really tight so that you can see the exit only sign, and then crop it from there, and then crop it from before the next exit only sign. That could be interesting crop. I think you should try that. Yeah, probably looks a bit better with some tighter crop. And then let's go to the next one. This one is Lindsay Whelan's. It's about saturation. Lots of beautiful tulips at this time of year in Toronto. They are spectacular, but are only around for a few weeks. On this day, there was break in the rain, but still cloudy skies, and so a perfect time to capture the raindrops on the tulips. The refraction was a nice surprise. I've never tried this technique before. These tulips were in front of a yard garden of a home in my neighborhood. The shape details and refraction of the tulips added these two dominant colors. And it was macro lens. Yeah, it's a well-made image and totally good for this and perfect image for this particular assignment. It was about colors. You got so many colors going on, a lot of different shades of yellow. You get red, you almost violet purple inside the red, and then you have some blue there, and then yes, water drops are always a time when you have this time, just after the rain. If you have chance, grab the camera and go out because you usually find a lot of good things. You could use macro to record the reflections on the water drop. That would be, you get really close and you get a lot of reflections, and usually colors are more vibrant when places are a little bit wet. It makes the color deeper. So it's a perfect time to photograph, and that's the way it is. But the funny thing is that a lot of people who don't know much about photography always think that when it's really sunny and nice skies, it's the best time to photograph. But it's not. Usually, right after rain, with these bright colors and water drops and everything, that's the best way to photograph, in my opinion, or the best time to photograph. Well done. And then we have let me see. This is Bill Landon. Spring windflowers, lupine, and balsam root in a field near my home in Washington State. Complementary colors, purple and yellow. Yeah, that worked really well. And what I like about this, even though the light is looks to be pretty harsh, is that the lupines in the front. I don't know how to pronounce that, but the blue flowers or the plants in the front, they have nice rim light. You have this bright edge on everything, which makes them pop out. Without that, it would be a flat image and busy, but that makes the image. And on this type of image, sometimes it is good to make some colors a bit more vibrant and then maybe lower the saturation and vibrance in some other colors. And this could be just to lift up the blues and then just slightly lower down the yellows to make these lupins to pop out even more. I think this is well done photograph for this assignment. Well done. And then a copy of a freshly painted mural along a city street. Okay, this is a good example of documenting the if it were possible to have someone walking there, to have a person there, or what something else there to make it totally your own. I think it's a well made copy of this, and you have all straight lines, and you can clearly see all the colors. You can see that it's on a brick wall. You can see the texture, and you can really see the paintings. I think it's well done, and also including the the signature in the bottom corner there. Maybe I'll just turn myself off. Just is it this one? Yeah, so you can see the whole image. Now I'm back. Yeah, I think it's well done, but I would add something or someone into the image just to make it more yours. I don't know what the size is. You could kind of tell because of the size of a brick is something that you can understand. But what about having a person here and make a portrait so that the person has the wings? That could be one. It's a bit of a cliche, but that could be a fun image. I'm not sure if it's possible. It looks to be slightly bigger than a human being. I'm not sure. Maybe taking a little further away, the person a little further away, and then try to make the image. It's something to try if it's possible. And then we have this Richard Priestley. In Korea, ducks are symbols of life together. My Korean wife and I were given this pair of colorful ducks by her family when we got married some 53 years ago. Well, that's a long time. Congrats. That's impressive. That's impressive. But to represent the future and to mark the occasion. Like us, the ducks are a little weathered now, but still in good shape and certainly know how to demonstrate the color of life. Yeah, I think that's a good comparing that there is bit wear and tear. Like probably you also already have some of that. And excuse me. Yeah, certainly colors of life. Maybe you could have made the image from a little bit lower angle and have some interesting background. Maybe I don't know. It's a bit maybe a bit too simple, but I like the idea. And yeah, 53 years. That's huge respect. Let me see. And then we have something totally different. And I really like this idea of having an image like this, an assignment like this. This is totally something that you would not expect. This is Stephen Jude, Color of Life. I thought that as food is a necessary for life, I could start with that idea. I found that mushroom and a handheld torch to provide backlight work really well, providing an interesting perspective. Yeah, I think the idea of starting with color of life that as food is necessary for life, then you added color to some food. I think it's a marvelous idea, and I like the thinking process that as you're going to color of life, you start with the life. I think that's so clever. That's probably the only one that has at least said that that was the idea, and I think that's a clever idea to think a little bit differently, and then have the color torch to make the different colors. And there are lots and lots of different shades of yellow and beige colors, and pure white also, and some bluish color on the middle part too. I appreciate this approach and the image, and this is also something abstract that you could print and put on the wall in the kitchen. It's, it's something that there's not much in the image, but it's still something that you can really just sit down and enjoy. I like the curves that go in there, and then it's bright and what's behind there, even though we know it's just a mushroom, and but still, there's some mystery in this image. And I don't know how many pictures you took to get this because it is. There's probably a lot of opportunities and to different types of composition with this and different types of colors. Yeah, I really enjoy this image. Let me see. Yeah. Yeah, we still have a few more. And then we have this really colorful, almost like a painting looking image. It's from K Canon, complementary colors. A purple and yellow water lily that I found in a pond at a hotel I was staying at in Hoi Am, Vietnam. Yeah, this looks like a painting almost, and with the signing and everything. I think it's an interesting approach, and definitely the colors. And I like the middle of the flower where I don't know what those are called, but the part of the flower and they go different. And some of them are really, uh, kind of like looking into the concentrating in the middle. It's almost like they're looking what's inside there, and they're very uh, curious to see. Yeah, I think it's interesting that it's totally different type that we've seen so far. Well done. And then we have, I was testing an analog Canon T60 from the 80s and was searching for colors with Kodak Go 200 film. And this is really nice. I think this must be the first film image that I remember. I don't think anyone has said at least that it was made with film. And film is something that maybe I'll turn myself off so that you can see the whole image because it was blocking part of it. Yeah, film is something that if you never tried it, I think you should, just to see how hard it actually is. It doesn't really, uh, by fact, change the way you photograph, but the thing is that you have a limited amount of frames, and they cost, and the cost of film has gone up really, really a lot. So it's not cheap. So you really need to concentrate and really need to think what you photograph. You could do the same thing with digital. I don't see why not, but it is something that we just don't do. But with film, you have to because you have a limited amount of shots, and every shot costs a lot of money when you press the shutter and need to develop the film and then process it. But here again, very good complementary colors, bluish, purple, yellow, and then the filmic look and the sign, and then it says to turn. I think it's a good composition. And this was the last image for tonight. And are there any questions about the ongoing assignment? I think it was moving fast moving. I don't even remember what it was. And I do have a video on my channel about that fast moving and photographing moving subject and try to be creative and use the motion to our advantage. So that the motion in the image is the thing that makes the image. I think that's the main point in that video. And there are some examples also to inspire you and not necessarily to copy and do the same thing. You can try the thing. There are things that I think if you want to learn and try some things like making an image where you walk behind someone, keep the constant distance and walk like 5 meters with the 1 second exposure and see what comes out. Usually, if you're in a tunnel or some narrow pathway where you have these things on you know, what do you call this motion uh, blur on the sides, and the person is fairly sharp. The better you can stay the constant distance, the sharper the person is, and that's something to play around with and see how it goes. Then also, if you're using bike or scooters or motorcycles, just put a camera somewhere here and have the sh what do you call that? Focus in the handles, and then the long exposure, you will have sharp handles on your bike or scooter or whatever, and then the surroundings will be like, moving, and you don't even have to go that fast if you have a long shutter speed. And that's something that you should try also, just to play around. And part of the whole assignment and theme thing is not only this that you send your best image, but also to experiment with different techniques, different things, and learn about that. And if there is some assignment and themes that you don't really fancy, then go to the next one and practice that and learn. It's all about getting you inspired and making you photograph more because it's like for me, for example, of course, I photograph, you know, almost every day something. But then there are occasions that really need to concentrate and put everything aside from life and just to concentrate on photography. And assignments are good for that. When you take the time, you put in the calendar that, all right, next Saturday I have a few hours left and I will try to achieve something with and will practice something with my photography so that you can kind of like put aside everything else. And that's why I think and I hope these assignments and themes will help you in doing that, to reserve that time to do the photography when you have some assignments to photograph. If you like to photograph something else, you can always do that too. It doesn't, require you to do that, but try to find some time to photograph because you spend a lot of money on the cameras and what good does on the shelf, if you don't use it, it's a waste of money. The more you use it, the cheaper it kind of gets. But I hope you enjoyed this, and I've been looking forward your fast moving images, motion blurs, and stuff like that. And I will inform you when that live stream will be aired. I'll try to have it in the beginning of June. But thank you so much for sending me these images. It's a big pleasure for me to look at your images and get inspired, and you know they all great, and I'm really privileged to be able to do this and pass on my knowledge. I hope it's valuable for you. But hey, thanks for watching and bye for now.